Way of the Fighter is a two-player card and dice game that incorporates the key elements of fighting games in a board game format. Key elements found in the fighting game scene include spacing, hitboxes, resource management, projectiles, playing aggressive versus conservative under a turn limit. Way of the Fighter is sold in 2 unique box sets. Each set includes 5 pre-built fighter decks and can be played as a standalone product. Each pre-built deck will include action cards. Action cards can be broken down into strikes, grabs, blocks, moves, blasts, and modes. Character actions are always included with the character's deck. The majority of a deck will be comprised of generic actions. Each generic action belongs to a combat style. These include hard, soft, wrestle, chi, and fluid. Players can customize a fighter's deck. Once they are comfortable with the fighter's playstyle, they can swap in cards found in other pre-built decks or expansion. In Way of the Fighter, 2 players will battle with their chosen fighters and decks of action cards. Each player places their character's standee on a designated space along the central game board. The track on which these standees are placed is called the arena and shows the fighter's position within the arena. Once the fighter's standees are placed, each player sets up their own health and energy pools with a combination of special dice. There are 2 types of dice in Way of the Fighter: core dice with values from 1 to 3 on them, and power dice with values from 2 to 4. Both players place 6 core dice over the light spaces and 6 power dice over the 6 dark spaces on their health track. The remaining 6 core dice are placed in the burnout section of each player's side of the board. Both players place their fighter's character card in front of them in an area called the fighter area. Build a hand of 5 cards, making sure to include the fighter's block card, and then shuffle their decks. Both players roll 3 core dice and add up their values to determine which player begins with the initiative card. This card marks who acts first each turn and breaks ties. The player that won the roll returns 2 dice to their burnout pool and 1 to their energy pool. The opponent returns 1 die to their burnout pool and 2 to their energy pool. Place the remaining components in their respective areas, such as blast tokens, position tokens, and the turn marker. Gameplay. A game of Way of the Fighter takes place over a series of 12 turns. Each turn is broken down into 3 phases: Ready Phase, Challenge Phase, and the Recovery Phase. During the Ready Phase, both players perform each step before moving on to the next. The player with the initiative card always performs each step first. Draw 1 card from the top of their deck or discard 3 cards and draw 3 cards. Move 2 core dice or 1 power die from the burnout pool to their energy pool. Move all dice in their energy pool to their active pool. The Challenge Phase. The player with the initiative card begins the challenge phase by choosing how to position their fighter: crouching, shifting, or leaping. Their opponent then chooses how to position their fighter in response. Crouching allows a player to move 1 core die from their burnout pool to their energy pool. Shifting allows the player to draw a card, and then they may move 1 space. Leaping allows a player to move up to 2 spaces. Both players select an action from their hand and play them face down in their challenge area. Each player takes all dice available in their active pool, hides them from their opponent, and selects 1 to 4 dice. The selected dice will be rolled and the values added to the face down action's priority value in order to determine which fighter's action resolves first. After both players have secretly selected the dice they wish to roll with their action, they return the remaining dice to their active pools. Both players then roll their selected dice and reveal their actions. Add the values of the dice to the action priority value. The action with a higher priority value resolves first. Players then need to determine if the action hits the opponent. Resolve the action's effects if it hits. First, read the effects in the text box, as some actions may have effects that take place before moving, hitting, or damaging. After applying any effects, check for damage. An action will show how much damage the opponent takes, if any. For each point of damage dealt to a fighter, that player moves a die from their health pool to their energy pool, beginning with the rightmost die. If an action deals damage, it cancels the opposing action. preventing it from taking effect. After dealing damage, the active player may choose to combo with further actions, rolling 1 to 4 dice from their active pool for each new action. The new action takes effect as long as its priority total equals or exceeds the previous action's priority value. Combos are an excellent way to deal a lot of damage, but they also give the opponent many new dice to use in the following turns. After rolling dice, the player with the initiative card can use it to have their fighter jump, stand, crouch, move 1 space, or add 2 to their action's priority value.
The recovery phase.
If the player with the initiative card used it during the challenge phase, they must pass it to their opponent. Each player moves all the dice on their block action, if played, to their energy pool and returns the block action to their hand. Move core dice on blast action cards and other ongoing action cards in the challenge area to the burnout pool. Move blast action cards and other ongoing action cards to the fighter area. Move all remaining dice on other cards in play to the burnout pool and discard any remaining cards in the challenge area. Discard down to 8 cards if you have more than 8 cards in your hand. You may not discard your block action. Finally, the turn marker is moved down to the next number to mark the end of the current turn. The next turn then begins with a new ready phase. If the game reaches the end of the 12th turn, time has run out. The player with the most health wins. If a fighter takes damage and their health pool is empty, they are knocked out, and their opponent is victorious.